You never want to leave the scene of writing down a goal without doing something. That's something that Tony Robbins says. Never leave the scene of a goal until you do something. This is why if you're starting a new challenge, for an example, don't say, oh, I'll just start it tomorrow. Because then tomorrow comes and you're like, I'm not really ready for it right now. I'll start it tomorrow. And then 400 tomorrows later, you look back and say, oh, it would have been good if I started that goal because I would have completed it by now. Instead, start today. Like when people say, I'm going to start a diet tomorrow. And tonight I'm going to scarf my face with Ben & Jerry's and Giovanni's Pizza. Yeah, it sounds good, but it's not going to bring you closer to where you want to be. It's going to bring you short-term pleasure for long-term pain. So we have to put off that pleasure so we can enjoy it later on. And much more of it at that. Everyone's got some action steps?
Yes.
Now, we talked about what it is we wanted, but what is, except for just now, what is the one thing that we haven't really talked about at all?
How to get it.
How to get it. And the reason why we haven't talked about that is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you're going to do it. You have no idea how you're going to do it. So why would we pretend like we do have an idea how we're going to do it? We might have 1 or 2 or 3 ideas. We might even have 5 to 10 ideas of how we're going to do something. But we don't know how we're going to do it. Why pretend like we do? Because the reality is you don't know what you don't know. Let me show you something. I want you to write this down with me. This is a little scale. And it's comprised of 2 things. And this is called the Achievement Index Scale. But I want you to think about this all the time after we go over. I want you to think about what it is you want. More so than the other part. Because this right here is 90%, that line I just drew. What do you think that 90% represents? This is what you want and why you want it. Is 90% of the equation. All those things are true. They all go into this. Yep. Massive action is the way I'd put that. Doing things, actually going outside and taking action, not just sitting on your couch, seeing in your mind what you want, but not taking any action towards that thing. Actually going out there and doing things to get there, even if it's not the right action you're taking, noticing it's not the right action and changing your approach to then take the right action to get to where you want to get to. All right? Now, this is 10% right here. What is that 10% comprised of? How? Yes, and I'll show you why it's only 10%. But before I do that, let me ask you, raise your hand if you've ever set a goal to do anything in your life or even had an idea to do something and it all of a sudden just happened to find its way into your life without you even realizing it. Yes, because this right here, I want you to think about this little dot. That's what we're going to call your radar screen. These are all the options that are available to you in your own mind, in your own reality, in what you can actually visibly see. So who here has played like Call of Duty or any kind of shooter game with a mini-map? Okay. For those who haven't played any game like that or know what I'm talking about, think about when you open your GPS. What you see on your phone is a very small picture. If you zoom out, you see everything else, right? So in the mini-map here, the mini-map of your goals, the mini-map of your future. Wow, that's like a book title. That's awesome. I'm going to keep that. Mini-map for your future. Thanks, camera. All right. So these are all the options you can see. Now, this might be, let's say your goal is to, let's use one in here. Let's use the Jeep. I like that. I like cars. I don't know. So, okay. So what are some of the actions that you wrote down that you can take right now to bring you closer to that?
Start looking into how to get a car.
Start looking into it. Okay. You could do that today.
Yep.
Awesome. What's something else you wrote down?
Start looking into actual driving lesson classes so I get more comfortable being on the way.
Oh, I forgot you were not really the most experienced driver right now.
Oh, I had my permit.
Wow, cool. Okay. And did you write anything else down?
No, that was it.
Okay, so you got 2 little dots in that circle. Now, check this out. How would you feel, Yvonne, if I told you that there's a whole world of possibilities that could happen for you that you haven't even considered yet. Because this option down here could be one that's brought into your reality that made you getting that Jeep even more possible. You could get a call tomorrow from some long-lost relative who, weird saying, it's the first thing that came to mind, a long-lost uncle that you didn't even know existed passed away, and he left an inheritance to you for $50,000. And he wrote you a letter and said, Yvonne, you know, one day I think you're going to really want this black Grand Cherokee. And I want to gift you this money to go get yourself that car. And you're going to be like, didn't know the guy, but I'll take the money. And you'll go to the dealership and you'll buy that car, and that has nothing to do with what you wrote down. Because that's a very far out example, guys, but you truly never know how you're going to get there. When I think of this, I lost 85 pounds 3.5 years ago now. I was very overweight. It was before I became a leader with the company, and I asked my mentor at the time, like not my mentor, but my life mentor, who actually does work here, I asked him, what do I need to do to become a leader? And he's like, you need to work on your attitude. I said, okay. And he said, you need to work on your physical appearance. He's like, you're unhealthy right now. He's like, if you want to be taken seriously and be respected, you need to work on your physical appearance. You need to be a healthy weight. And that tore me apart inside. I would go in front of the mirror and I'd be like, yeah, I look awesome. And then I'd realize, I don't like the way I look. And I was in denial about it. So I started to work out, and I started working out with my friend Shane. He brought me to the gym. He showed me some routines. I started really enjoying going to the gym. And after a while, so that was my option. Going to the gym was in here. That was the first thing I thought of. After a while of going to the gym, about 1 month of doing so, my mentor from Albany, his name is Keith, he's your ASM, he said, hey man, it looks like you're really serious about going to the gym. Why don't you come work out with me? I used to lift really heavy. Now he's like a world-class bodybuilder. It's pretty incredible. Yes. Yep, power lifter. Yep. I don't know the terminology.
Bench press is 800 pounds to give people a reference.
Yes, he's insane. And he's not even like a tall, big, he's a big guy. But this is before he got like that. He was always in shape, but he was very lean before he started powerlifting. But he said to me, it looks like you're pretty serious about taking this to the next level. If you're committed, drive down to Albany with me every single day. Well, 3 times a week, drive down to Albany with me, and we'll go to ABC Sports together, ABC Fitness. And I said, okay, I'm down, I'm committed. I started working out with Keith 3 times a week on his routine to the point where I felt like I was almost going to throw up every single time. Like I felt with Shawn yesterday after the gym. We did an abs exercise, and it was really good, so thank you for that. I'm feeling it, Shawn. Yeah, look how humble he is. He knows he made an impact. Yeah, so thank you. I'm just being too nice to him this week. So that was here now. And that reality brought itself into my scope. When I first started working out, I could never have thought, hey, maybe one day I'll have a mentor physically who can invite me to go to the gym with them and essentially personally train me for free. That wasn't an option. I had no idea that would happen. I got started though. And to get started, you just have to exercise one of those options and continue going. Look into the car. Start taking the classes. Because one thing after another will happen, and all these other options and available things will start happening for you in life. They won't happen to you, they'll happen for you. And we're going to talk more about this. But you don't need to know how you're going to do something, is the point I'm trying to make. All you need to do is know what you want, know why you want it, and get started. Just start. If your goal is to retire by 40, what is 1 or 2 things you can do right now to make that happen for you? Sure, set up a retirement fund. And then after you do that, you might find another retirement fund that's better. You might find a mentor financially who says, hey, don't do that fund, do this fund. And hey, it looks like you're serious about this. Let me take you under my wing and mentor you because you're serious and help you become rich. And find a rich friend. You are the average of the 3 people you spend the most time around. So if you want to get in shape, find someone who's in shape. If you want to make more money, get around people who make more money. It might be on the sales floor. It might be someone in your life, someone in your family, someone in your neighborhood, someone in a club you're in. It's simple. It's a simple formula, but it requires work. Who said you have to work in here a second ago? Someone raised their hand and said work. Yeah, I think a lot of us understand that. I think someone over here said it. But you have to actually do things. You have to actually put yourself out there. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Does that make sense? Okay, because there's a story of a guy named Joe. And Joe wanted a white Mercedes. All right, his mentor told him, hey, if you really want this white Mercedes, you should write it down and you should look at it every single day, which is something we'll talk about in a few minutes. So Joe's like, what's that going to do for me? But he liked his mentor. He trusted him. He respected him. He wrote it down. I will have a white C-Class Mercedes by, and he wrote 6 months from now. Okay? And what happened was pretty awesome. So he wrote it down. And what do you think Joe started seeing around the town after he wrote down he wanted that? He started seeing a white C-Class Mercedes everywhere he went. He saw a lot more Mercedes, but he started specifically seeing the white ones. And he thought, wow, that's really weird. Like, I haven't really seen those on the road until I started focusing on this. He didn't understand these things. And another week goes by, and Joe's driving down the road, and he sees a billboard for a blowout sale at the car dealership. It says, come test drive your new dream car. And he said, wow, I wonder if they have any Mercedes there. So we called the dealership. They said, yeah, we actually have a Mercedes here. It's not white, but you can come check it out. It's the same class you want. He said, okay. This is 2 weeks by this point. He goes to the dealership. He test drives the car. Now 2 weeks it's been since he wrote down this goal, and he's already in the driver's seat of this new car that he wanted. All right? He doesn't think anything of it yet, because who would, unless you understood these principles? And then another week goes by. He gets a call from the warranty center at his old dealership. And they said, hey, Joe, you've had your car for about 4 years now. We wanted to talk to you about the extended warranty with your car. If you could bring it in, we could take a look at it. That'd be awesome. And I wasn't sure if you were in the market for a new car. And Joe said, hey, no, I'm looking at something new. And he's like, what are you looking for? And Joe said, I'm looking for a white C-Class Mercedes. And the guy said, oh, my God, we have one here. Come check it out. You could test drive it. Joe said, oh, my God, this is awesome. Joe goes to that dealership, test drives the actual car in the car that he wants, and he leaves that day. And you ever go to a dealership and drive your new car or a car that you want, and then you leave in your car, and you're like, I don't even want to leave in my car right now. Raise your hand if you've experienced that. Yeah, it's kind of a cool feeling, because usually you find yourself in that new car quicker than you thought. So Joe left, and one day Joe's walking down the street. This is a month after he wrote down that goal. He's walking down the street, and he comes up to a corner, and he sees this leather briefcase. He picked it up, and he's like, I wonder who left this briefcase here. And he saw the name and the number, and he's like, I'm going to call this person. So we called him, and he said, hey, I found this briefcase on the corner of this street here, and it's got your name and number. So I called, and the guy's like, oh, my God, you have no idea what's in that briefcase. You have no idea how much you just helped me. He's like, I was so worried that I lost it, and I would never find it, and someone would take it and steal it. And thank you so much. Where are you so I can come get that briefcase back? And Joe said, no problem. I'll wait with it. I'm on this street, this corner. I'll see you in a few minutes. And the guy was like, all right, I'll be there. Thank you so much. Joe waits about 5-10 minutes. The guy rolls up, and the guy comes out, and he's like, I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for finding this briefcase. You have no idea how much trouble you just saved me. Everything I need for my business and everything else is in this suitcase. You have no idea what this would have costed me. And Joe's like, I get it, man. You already said that. I'm just trying to do you a good deed. And the guy said, no, I need to reward you for what you just did. And he takes out a checkbook, and he writes a check for $50,000. No. Yeah, think about it. 50 grand for this guy could have been like $10 for you. People who have millions of dollars, what's 50 grand? It's not much, especially if what was in that briefcase is worth more value. Wrote him the check. Joe took that check and went to the car dealership, gave him the money, gave him his car as a trade-in, left with a brand new C-Class Mercedes with a lower car payment than he had before. Best financial move to make? Maybe not. But did he accomplish his goal? Within a month. The point of me telling you this is I've had so many people I've been doing this training at New Hire for about a year now, this specific one. And I've given it outside to Global Foundries, and I've talked at Toastmasters about it, which is a speaking organization. And what's incredible is now that it's been a year since I've been doing this, you have no idea how many people come up to me saying, I wrote down at New Hire that I would do this, lose weight, get the home, get the car, achieve this amount of money, move into leadership. And I'm doing everything that I wrote down, and everything is happening to me. As an example, Vince Nance is from Southern Tier. He's in the Greenhorn Hall of Fame, and no one here is in Southern Tier, so you won't meet him. Maybe you will one day. But he wrote down that in a year he wants to bring his son to Reno, and he didn't know how he would make this happen. It's an expensive trip. And 6 months from that day, he came here. No, 4 months it only took him. He came here, and he's like, I was in this same room as you 4 months ago, writing down my goals for the first time. And I'm already bringing my son to Reno, which is what I wrote down that I want to do in this year. So understand, you took the first step, which is huge. Now you just need to start doing things. Don't worry so much about how you're going to get there. Just start in this circle here. And then you'll attract all of these other opportunities to you that you never would have expected before. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.